What's up, everybody? It's your boy SB. I know it's been a minute since you heard from me. Um, and I wanted to share something that's been on my heart. So I came across this podcast, the 91 podcast. Go check them out. And there's this amazing interview with this brilliant Nigerian journalist by the name of David Hundeyin. And I follow him on his social media, and David is he's a thorough journalist. He's a thorough investigative journalist, and I've learned a lot by following his investigative pieces. So make sure you check him out as well. Anyway, they had an episode where they interviewed David, and the theme of that particular podcast episode was called Africa Has No Friends. And it got me thinking and pondering that statement, Africa has no friends. And in my opinion, it dawned on me and I realized that the Black diaspora has no friends. Not just Africa, but the entire Black diaspora. We don't have any friends. Now, that might come off and sound like a very harsh statement, but hear me out. David's point when saying that Africa has no friends is that we ought to disabuse ourselves as Africans from this notion that other geopolitical powers, nation states, are our friends. Because what is a friend? A friend is someone who you're in relationship with, who has your best interests at heart. They love you, they care about you, they're willing to sacrifice, they're willing to go the distance. They may not have the same objectives or goals that you have. You guys may share the same values for sure, but they're always interested in your well-being. They're always interested in seeing you move up in life, do well. And so sometimes I know growing up, reading Nigerian politics and so on, you find politicians sometimes say things like, "Oh, our friends." And it gets into the public psyche that, oh yeah, these other nation states are our friends, and they're not. And David's point was that we can have shared interests, common goals and objectives with other countries, institutions, and so on. And we should align ourselves accordingly. But we should disabuse ourselves of this notion that we have friends. And I tend to agree, because we know that no one is coming to save us as Black people. And I think, and I have to give credit and a shout out to Black Americans, African Americans have, in my opinion, have been trying to tell the diaspora this same thing for ages, and probably others to different extents. But I think through their culture, through their music, through the arts, through the studies of Afrocentricity, Pan-Africanism, Black Americans, African Americans have been trying to tell us this thing for ages, which is, as Black people, we have no friends. We may have allies, and an ally may end up being a friend. A friend could be an ally. But what are allies? Allies are people who have shared objectives, shared agendas, common interests. And so as Black people, in my opinion, I feel like we ought to reframe our understanding of geopolitics, politics. Our existence in the world should be framed or reframed with this idea that we have no friends. We may have allies, and we need to know who our allies are. We need to be able to identify our allies quickly, and we need to move with this cold, calm logic that, okay, these people are not our friends. These other nation states, these other groups, these other communities may not necessarily be they're not necessarily our friends, but they can be our allies. Because again, a friend is someone who is invested in your success. They don't have to succeed at the same level as you do. They don't have to succeed at the same thing, but they are invested. They love you. They sacrifice. They're willing to do whatever it takes to see you win and succeed. And from that perspective, we as Black people, in my opinion, we don't have any friends. No one is coming to save us. All we have is each other. We keep, this statement is made in several spaces. No one is coming to save us. And I believe that more than ever. I mean, history shows us this. The current status of things in the world shows us this. We don't have friends. No one is coming to save us. No institution, no political entity, no religious figure is coming to save Black people. All we have is each other. Even if you push your faith and you think about faith, no one is coming to save us. No one is going to show up from heaven coming to save us. All we have is each other. If you're thinking about, okay, well, God will save us, God will rescue, God will save us through you. God will rescue us through your actions, through our actions to one another. That feeling that you have, that gut intuition that you have to help your fellow brother or sister who looks like you, that's God in action, in my opinion. So all we have is each other. And that's why diaspora unity more than ever is so important. And this is not to say that we should ignore our differences. Absolutely not. This is not to say that we shouldn't confront our issues, our quarrels internally. We should. But we should confront them from a place of love, a place of understanding, a place of openness and transparency. But more so than ever, we need each other. We need to be kind to one another. We need to love one another. We need to be there for one another, look out for each other. All right. Do things in each other's interest, stand on business, be on code. A friend of mine says Black people don't be on code, and it's true. We need to be on code. Gatekeep as we need to gatekeep. Stand with one another. I recently, we saw what happened with Delroy Lindo and Michael B. Jordan at the BAFTAs. And I just love how basically, black people in the Americas, especially Black Americans, they jumped and they just stood on business and was like, we're not tolerating this. That is how we ought to move together as a collective, as a unit, in my opinion. So I do agree with David. Africa has no friends. The descendants of Africa have no friends. African descendant people have no friends. We may have allies, but we have no friends. And we ought to move and approach politics, approach our understanding of our existence in this world with that cold, calm logic that we don't have friends. We may have allies, people we have common interests with, shared objectives, shared agendas, but we don't have friends, right? And it's not to say that allies cannot become friends. They absolutely can. Friends can become allies. They absolutely can. But as a collective, as a community, as a diaspora, I do not believe that we have friends. History does not support that idea. So I hope this brings you peace. I hope this brings you ease. Appreciate y'all, man. Peace.